When you come home from Kmart, you can feel very good about what you bought. Because along with the best brand names and the low Kmart price, you have the assurance that if anything you buy at Kmart isn't right for any reason, we'll do our best to make you happy.
This thing doesn't catch good.
Well, let's find one that does.
Kmart. Satisfaction always.
Kmart, we've got it, and we've got it good.
Honey, I'll only be a minute. I just need to pick up this one thing.
Kmart, where more people shop.
Turn it down, Mac.
And shop. And shop. Than anywhere else.
So what happened to the one thing?
It's in there.
America's favorite store.
Kmart, the saving place.
Honey, did you see the Maxell 2-hour videotape?
No, I'm looking for the 90-minute audio tapes.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Thanks.
How would you ever get along without me?
Okay, everybody, we have to make a decision. We can either get the Magnavox 19-inch color TV with random access remote and stereo sound,
Magnavox! How come Kmart can fix up this entire store and you still haven't fixed the doorbell?
The Livestream Code and Rating Administration has rated this online event PG. All ages admitted. Please be kind and stay on topic.
Good evening and welcome to the Good Stuff Live. My name is Dave Sundstrom, and if you enjoy talking about music, movies, TV, tonight, mostly Kmart, from decades gone by, well, you've come to the right place. So I think tonight's going to be a really fun conversation. It's been a handful of months now. Myself and Justin Eilert we've been visiting about potentially getting together and reminiscing about Kmart. We both spent time as employees at Kmart and have a lot of fond memories. And then I got thinking, well, you know what? I know another channel creator, my brother, Steve Sundstrom, who also spent a significant time working at Kmart as well. So that's the plan tonight. I'm going to bring these guys on in just a minute. But first off, I do have to take care of some business. Always important to take care of business. Let's see. I want to welcome James Harrington in as a new member. I think this may actually be an upgrade. I think he may have upgraded his membership. And James, for that, I truly appreciate you. Thank you so much for your continued support as a channel member. You know, it's just that little extra thing. Lots of folks subscribe to the channel, but those folks who actually become channel members and get access to seeing the videos early, and they have access to the members only live streams and other things, prioritized responses to their comments. It's just really appreciated. So thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I've got to say thank you to my executive producers this evening. They are Kevin Connor, and that was a very generous super chat, my friend, as well as channel member Lance Chaffin, who threw a super sticker my way. Thank you, good sir. Truly appreciated. And look at this. StreamYard has fixed the channel member perk of being able to drop in a members only message. So for those of you that are channel members, if you'd like to drop a special message, just like Lance Chaffin has done here, he says, thanks for the live streams. And what I say to you is thank you for being a member for 17 18 months. That's fantastic. So thank you, good sir. And for all of you, I feel like I have to do it. I'm going to get it out of the way early. I've got a special video, a way of me saying thanks to all of you. So for those of you that don't enjoy the Lawrence Welk, plug your ears, turn down your volume for about, 18 seconds.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me. Thank you very, very much.
Try it again. We're getting a little bit of technical difficulties.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me. Thank you very, very, very much.
And indeed, thank you for your support. I want to say hello to the folks that are in the live stream. I'm going to go through it rather quickly. We've got, I do have to say thank you to Butch Schomp for becoming a YouTube or a channel member. Truly appreciated, Butch, and look forward to seeing you at the members only live stream in the not too distant future, my friend. Thank you, good sir. But let's say hello to as many people as I can, as quickly as I can, because I want to bring on my special guests. So Lance is asking when the membership live stream is. Probably in a couple of weeks, Lance. I'm thinking not this Sunday, but maybe the Sunday after that. Rob Aiken's here. Adrian James is here. Dan Lee Staten is here. Greetings from Kaysville, Utah to you, Danny. Let's see. Who else do we have? Channel member John Collins is here. Welcome. Good to have you with us. Kenneth Wilkinson, welcome. Always a treat to see you in the chat. Tom McCluskey, the Hungry Jerk. Let's see. Moonstorm, welcome to the live stream. Says, do you need a blue light to watch this program? It helps. It absolutely helps. And scrolling through, my friend Steve Tevis from The Life and Sad Ending says, clean up on aisle 7. Hey, Steve contributed a little something to this live stream tonight, so we'll share that in just a little bit. Rachel in the 208 is with us. Karen Lee Maloney, Gloop Trekker. Let's see who else is here. Claude Sailing. Let's see. And look at that. Rachel in the 208 worked at Kmart in high school. What do you mean it's not your proudest moment? That's a great place to work. It was a wonderful, wonderful career. I started right after high school and worked there on and off for about 8 years. Maud Matilda H., welcome. Ronnie Watkins, welcome. A Child, good to have you here. They call me Mr. Williams. What a treat it is to have you with us. And Antonio Rodriguez, Donald Paluga, Nostalgic Pod Blast, always great to see you in the chat. Maximus Primus. And let's see. Marianne Lockwood's waving. Hey, Marianne, good to have you here. And I think I may almost be done. Channel member Larry Potter, welcome. Good to have you with us, my friend. Leo Anchirani says, who remembers the blue light specials? We'll be talking about those in just a little bit. And let's see what else we've got here. David Thomas is with us. And if I miss someone, I say this every time, but there's just so much going on in the chat. I will undoubtedly miss someone. Channel member Emily Miller's here. Amy B is here from Anchorage, Alaska. Welcome. Good to have you with us. But if I miss someone, please don't take offense. I'll do my very, very best to, if I see you in the chat and you have a question or something, I'll do my best to respond. But it's so busy, it's hard sometimes. Channel member Larry Potter drops a $10 super chat into the stream, and he says, hey, Dave in the house, just thought you'd like to buy something to use at Kmart. Oh, $10 back in the day. That'd go quite a ways at Kmart. Quite a ways indeed. Thank you so very much, Larry. That is just truly appreciated.
Gracias, danke.
Let's see what else
merci.
We have here.
Gracias, danke.
You're dying. Oh, my God.
Running into issues with my thank you video. Go. Well, that super chat is dynamite, and thank you so much, Larry. It's kind of you to say. John Collins is using his channel members exclusive chat. He's been a member for 22 months. He says, "Thank you so much, Dave, for everything. I'm all in for the long haul, good sir." Well, I'm looking forward to getting you in on a 5 and 5 video in the not too distant future, John. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you, good sir, for your continued patronage as a channel member. Okay, I'm going to stop with that, and we're going to bring on our guests because we're 5 minutes into the show, 10 minutes into the show, and what am I doing? What am I doing? Let me bring in Justin Aylett. How are you, Justin?
I'm doing great, Dave. How are you?
Excellent. So let's do this. Let's share our Kmart pedigrees. I'll tell you that I worked at Kmart from 1982 until 1991, on and off. What's your Kmart pedigree, good sir?
Kind of near the end of their tenure, so 2009 to 2013. And
did you have particular areas where you worked?
Mostly it was automotive and outdoor towards the end. But I did stock, pretty much the whole store here and there too, just depending on what the needs were. So, but yeah, toward the end of it, it was great. But when it closed, that was the end of my tenure.
Yeah. It's we'll talk about the closing of Kmart, and we'll definitely talk about the closing of Kmart. The writing was on the wall for a long time, and it was a slow, agonizing, painful death, unfortunately. One that it just broke my heart to see. But let me bring on our other contributor tonight, YouTube channel creator, Steve Sundstrom. We'll talk about your channel a little bit, Steve. I know you're working on a video right now, but let's talk about Kmart pedigrees. What's your Kmart experience, my friend?
Well, good times at Kmart. So I started at Kmart in '89 and stayed three wonderful years till 1992. All of that time spent in the shoe department, which was actually kind of a contract company that was renting space. They didn't actually, it wasn't Kmart I paid to work for, but I got my paychecks from Kmart, which were always awesome because they were envelopes filled with cash.
Yes, and that's something I wanted to mention. Justin, did they do that by the time they were into the 2000s? Because they would pay us in cash. And I know if Steve was anything like me, half that envelope of money would be spent by the time we left the store.
No, they didn't pay us in cash, but they would cash your checks up front, of course. But actually, it's funny you mentioned that. The woman that worked in the cash office was kind of like a blast in the past. She had worked there since the store opened in the 70s.
Yeah.
And for some reason, our particular person that did that, she kind of dressed like she was still in that era, which was just odd to see in 2010. But yeah, we never got paid in cash though.
Yeah. I have to put this comment up on the screen. This is from Danny State, and he says, "I never would have guessed that Steve was the Al Bundy of his day." Do you feel
Absolutely,
a kinship to Al Bundy?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Al's a fellow shoe man.
I remember I was at Kmart when you came on board, and
well, your buddy from elementary school,
right? Your boss,
Brad.
at least for a period of time, was a guy named Bradley Mullins. Really cool dude. Loved Brad in elementary school, and he seemed like he was a pretty fun guy to work for, right?
Yeah, he was a blast. Brad was a blast.
Yeah. Did you have Justin, did you have a favorite boss or anything? Someone that you really enjoyed working with while you were there?
Yeah, the assistant store manager of mine, her name was Jana. And she was really good. She went around and worked for a lot of the stores when they were having trouble, but she always came back to ours eventually to work as acting manager. We had about 2 or 3 managers during the time I worked there, but she was always the interim manager that kind of held everything together. And then, well, unfortunately, after I left, I heard she passed away a couple years right after that. So it was that was kind of tough because I was pretty close to her, and she kept a lot of my stuff for discounts. She would give me special things throughout the store. And yeah, I do have
That's
memories
awesome.
of that.
It's awesome. One of the things I remember about working at Kmart, and this is true almost everywhere I've worked, but it certainly was true at Kmart, was there were just a lot of really good people there. In many cases, they were, you had your leadership and your management team, but it was the folks that were working in the auto department, the sporting goods department, the electronics department. They just were. I learned some of my earliest tips for success in the workplace at Kmart. I remember one of them, and I can't remember. I think his name was Andy. Andy early on took me to side and to his side, and he kind of gave me some tips. And the one that's most memorable for me was, he said, even if you're not doing anything, just walk fast. That way, if the boss sees you, he thinks you're on your way to do something, you're working hard. And I thought to myself, that makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. So there were people that would they were lackadaisical in their stride while they were working at Kmart. That was never me. And I'm quite certain that 90% of the time I really wasn't doing anything, but I looked like I was busy.
Yeah, I think I've heard that that goes through a lot of retail too.
Yeah.
Anything I've worked in retail, walk fast and carry a scanner. If you're carrying a scanner too, that helps.
So did they still have pricing guns when you were at your Kmart, or was it at the point where everything was being scanned with UPC codes?
Yeah, it was all UPC. They had the LRT guns, laser radio terminals.
Yeah.
I think it was like a 90s technology, but it still worked fine when I worked there.
Steve, you used pricing guns, right?
Oh, I used the pricing gun. Yeah. You have to go through and they change the price on everything, every kind of item, one by one, stick. Yeah.
Yeah. And you dealt with people that would change stickers, right?
They try to
Especially in
change
the shoe
stickers
area.
around, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I bring that up because of you talk about walking fast and having something in your hand as like a scanner or something. But back in the day when I was there, the ultimate power was to have one of the pricing guns, to carry this pricing gun in your hand, and you can change the price and slap it on an item. And maybe this is when we talk about blue light specials, because the blue light special was you had a gun and it had blue stickers in it, and you would fire up that blue light, and for 5 minutes you were able to talk on the intercom, and you would have these massive deals. Let me see if I think I have right here just an old ad. Blue light specials were so popular that during the early 80s, they even had a board game that was a blue light special board game. And then I know probably around your time, Justin, as Kmart had an online presence, that for a while there, to get to Kmart's online presence, it was bluelight.com.
I remember that. Yep. Yeah. They gave away the internet packages.
Did you have any in-store blue light specials back in the day, or no?
They did, but they didn't have the actual light. The store manager would throw things in a display bin and then put a sign that said blue light special. But I imagine all the lights were gone by then, so they couldn't use an actual light, which was sad.
That light they pushed around in like a laminate cabinet. And we had certain leaders or managers there that made it an art. I don't know if you remember the way Rex, I won't use his last name, but one of your fellow assistant managers that later on, he would call it, when he'd get over that microphone, he'd say, "Attention Kmart shoppers. If you look over in the electronics department, you'll see the blue blinking bargain beacon."
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, he made it an art. He was great at it.
Yeah,
I was always nervous getting over the speaker.
He was. There were people that were more comfortable than others, but I remember you doing blue light specials.
Oh, I did them. Yeah, absolutely.
And when we did blue light specials back in the 80s, they were truly blue light specials. I remember discounting things 90%. and people would go crazy. And you would only, the problem was, is it would say for 5 minutes only. And so you'd give them plenty of warning. Hey, 1 minute left on the blue light special, got to get over here. It's 90% off, whatever it was. And then you'd end it and you'd get people running over. Did I miss it? Did I miss it? And usually we give it to them, but every once in a while it was too late and we were out or something. And people would get upset with you because they were pretty darn good deals.
They were really good deals. People would get upset.
Yeah. And that's the thing I remember about the later blue light specials with the online presence. And I really didn't, it was too late. I didn't go into the stores much in the year 2000s. Probably should have. I don't think I could have kept them afloat with my shopping alone, but I probably should have. But I just sensed that they weren't the same crazy values that they once were. Would you say that's fair, Steve?
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
Yeah.
Hey, do you mind if we talk just a minute about I don't know, Justin, if your Kmart had one, but our Kmart had like a cafe in it.
Let's wait just a second.
Okay.
Cafe's on the list. I've got to pull up an image of that. That's on the list of things to talk about because I think by the time Justin it probably was like a Little Caesars or something, or I don't know what. But we'll talk about it in just a minute. Let me do this first. Let me play another Kmart commercial. I think we're going to play a really old one from like 1978, and then we'll come back because the cafes were big in the late 70s. Oh, man, I thought I had the one from 1978 here. There it is. Okay, we'll play this one, and then we'll come back and talk about those cafes because I have a ton of special memories, including one I got to tell you about that I thought my career was over, but more to come after this important message.
Are we going to call your...
I know.
What?
I was going to say, are we going to call your time at Kmart your career?
Well, it was a Kmart career.
Your career was over?
I thought my Kmart career was over.
All right.
I break my career. I had the other career with the financial services stuff that was longer and probably, one could say it was a more, lucrative, but I love my Kmart career. We are going to call it that.
I'm sorry I interrupted. Let's watch the commercial.
We should watch the commercial. Hang on.
I know a place.
I know a place.
Where life is good.
Where life is good.
A brand new place.
A brand new place.
In your neighborhood.
Your neighborhood.
Come to my place.
Where dreams come true.
My saving place can save a lot of dollars for you.
My saving place. Kmart.
Kmart
Is your saving
yes,
place.
it is.
You need value. Face to face.
Every day.
Kmart.
Kmart
Sells great merchandise.
You're gonna get value at a low, low price. Here at my place, you're gonna get more.
Get more.
My saving place has got a lot of value in store.
Your saving place. Kmart.
Kmart
Is your saving place.
Sing it for me, children.
The new Solon Kmart will celebrate its grand opening starting Thursday. Hundreds of grand opening specials await you at this and all Cleveland.
There we go. We're back. So, cafeteria. We should talk about it. Kmart had their very own cafeteria that a lot of the stores had them between. Oh, and one thing I wanted to say real quick before we get going on this, folks, you'll notice we're not paying really much attention to the chat right now. When we get done with this conversation in about 15 minutes or so, we will go to the chat. I'll look for super chats if there's anything there. Make sure we recognize those super chats. And at that point, I'm going to ask you guys for you to share your Kmart memories as well, and we'll put those on the screen. But I just want to let you know kind of how things are working tonight. So anyway, back to the cafeteria. Until like around 1989 or 90, somewhere around there. So you remember the cafeteria still, right, Steve? So we had ours through at least 89 or 90, right?
Yeah, we did.
And what was your favorite part of that cafeteria?
Well, I like the French fries.
Yeah, they were
I
the
like the French
best.
fries. And then they had the Slurpee knockoff. I can't remember what they were called.
Ices.
Ices were always good. And the Subway sandwiches, they weren't really Subway brand, obviously, but they were Subway sandwiches.
Yeah, you kind of got it at the tail end. When I was there at starting, this is kind of what you would see. And this is an ad from the 70s, but I mean, they had full-on meals like fried fish, all you can eat, baked chicken platters. I don't know who would want the liver and onions, but a macaroni and cheese lunch. And of course, they did have like fries and burgers. And later on, I do remember, as I think they were looking for things that were more easy to prepare, that like things like Subway sandwiches or submarine sandwiches, that kind of thing. But I the fries as well were probably my go-to there.
Here's the other memory I have of the when I was a little kid. Mom would take Kenny and me to the cafe, and we'd get mashed potatoes and gravy there.
Yeah, I remember Mom taking me as well. Probably we were probably there together, but that's not what I remember of the event. But it was a special thing to go shopping with Mom at Kmart and then have her go back to the cafeteria area and buy you a little mini lunch or a full-on lunch. I remember, budgets were tight, so I'm thinking she kind of kept, like, when you went, you had mashed potatoes with her. I think I might have had macaroni and cheese or something like that. But just a lot of fun. So I got to share the story about almost getting fired. It was my second day working at Kmart, and I can't even. Oh, I do. I remember his last name, but I won't say it. So one of the managers was kind of walking me around, showing me things, and we took a break together. And I was struggling to get the ketchup packet open for the French fries, and I was pulling on it really hard, kind of like trying to rip it. And I ripped too well, and it splattered, and it got on his shirt. And I was just horrified because, I mean, it really got on his shirt. And fortunately for me, he did not consider it a fireable offense. But I was pretty scared that my career at Kmart was going to be over day 2. So, Justin, tell us about your memories of Kmart food towards the tail end of the store.
Well, I do remember the cafeteria from my childhood, before I was able to work there, and it was great. There was one near us, and we always went there to eat, once or twice a month, and they had all those specials and everything. And then towards the end of the cafeteria era, you saw them all change to, I think, Little Caesars and stuff like that, which I wasn't there at my particular store for that, but from other employees, I had heard that it had went from a cafe to a Little Caesars within like a 10-year period. And then right before I started working there, it turned into an empty spot, I guess. And it was mostly used for the new online delivery, which, imagine that. Nobody would ever go for that. But I think they called it My Gopher. And it was like just a new pickup service they were starting. So that's what they turned it into when I was working there. But I think it was like 6 months before I started working. It was actually still a Little Caesars, which I brought them a lot of money over the years, the Little Caesars partnership. So, I think you're muted.
Thank you. Yeah, we didn't have a Little Caesars in our store. We had one nearby. I remember that, but we did have what they did after they took that cafeteria out. You'll probably remember this, Steve, is they put a deli up front, and they had a deli area up front where you would, near the registers, where you could do your shopping, pay for your stuff, and then buy an icy or again a hoagie sandwich or something up front. I can't remember all the stuff they sold up there. Do you remember, Steve?
I just remember the hoagie sandwiches were up there. Popcorn. I think you buy some popcorn, maybe a
yeah.
pretzel.
Pretzels, you're right. Nachos.
Ices,
I remember nachos. Yeah. Yeah, just that kind of stuff. That's what it ended up being towards the tail end, at least in our little store in Woods Cross, Utah. That's where we both worked.
Mm-hmm.
What about I have a commercial for this. Let's play the commercial, and then I'll ask you guys about this. And I'm just hoping we can get this to work. I have had issues with my internet today. The Ethernet for some reason isn't working, and so I'm relying only on my Wi-Fi, and it's just a little laggy, but I think this is the commercial I want to play here. Let's see if we can get it to work.
Kmart. Dollar Day. Slashed prices. Kmart price. On hundreds of items throughout the store. Your savings store. Extra saving. Kmart saving. In every department during Dollar Day. At Kmart. Check your newspaper supplement for the prices. Low prices. And save. Save during Dollar Day. Dollar Days. Now through Saturday. At Kmart.
Dollar days were huge at Kmart. Huge. And at the time, there was a point in my Kmart career where I worked overnights setting up ads. That was my role. I was in charge of a crew that would set up the ads for the next day. And back then, all of the signage was done with peel-off numbers, and it was a lot of work to set the ad up correctly. And of course, you were tagging things with your pricing gun. And when it was Dollar Days, you had to bring in extra people, get extra people to come in to help you set up that ad because there was just so much on sale at Kmart. And then the ads would go live Sunday morning, and people would be just waiting at the door to get in. They were so excited for the values to be had during Dollar Days. Justin, do you remember anything like that at the tail end of the Kmart's lifespan?
I was waiting for Doctor Who to appear in that commercial.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't get the Dollar Days, but I know we got ads that were extremely big on Sundays. I mean, we printed out the signs from the laser printer, and they were like that high of a stack. And it took us hours to finish it. You know?
Yeah, lots of work to even get ready for a sale back then. Now it's all done at the push of a button with computers. But Steve, what do you remember about Dollar Days and setting up for ads and that type of thing?
Yeah, it was always just like a lot of work getting everything set up. So, you know, I was actually only working part-time because I was in high school at the time. And I just remember them, they would like try to increase my hours a bunch, like right before something like that, and then it would slow down and you'd get cut down to like 15 hours a week or something like that, which was fine. I didn't really want to work much more than that at the time. But prior to that, everybody was on, you know, extra hours, getting things ready, trying to make everything look good. Like you said, setting up the signs just right.
Yeah. All right. Let me do this. I'll play another commercial, but I'm going to ask you guys to be thinking about your favorite Kmart memory, okay? So I'll be back in 1 minute. This commercial lasts 1 minute long.
It's a name brand.
We'll try it again.
It's a name brand, and it's a saving. It's a good.
One more time so we get the whole commercial. Like I said, it's extremely laggy tonight.
It's a name brand, and it's a saving. It's a good day to be at Kmart. Kmart, we've got it and we've got it good. At Kmart, we've got it and we've got it good. It's a good feeling walking through our door.
love that. And looking at all those items for sale there, so many of them, like, cameras that use film. You got your Commodore 64 there. A lot of things are kind of really dated and just make me super nostalgic to see in a commercial these days. Steve, we'll start with you. Favorite Kmart memory?
Boy, I have a bunch of them. But I really remember getting, like you said, getting paid in cash. And so I used to like to get paid in cash and then walk over to the electronics and the music section where they had records and tapes. And I can still remember going over with one of my very first paychecks and buying the same day. I bought U2's The Joshua Tree and REM Green, the album Green, and going home and listening to those, probably reading some comic books, being the comic book nerd that I was. But just having that cash and just buy stuff. And I spent way more money than I should have. Hardly saved anything. Even I should have saved. But and the other thing I really enjoyed about Kmart was just like you mentioned it, the good people that worked there. But it was almost like sometimes going to work was just like goofing off. You'd go there, you had your coworkers that you were friends with. I'm not going to say there wasn't any goofing off that took place, because there was. I did. And here's the thing I hated the most. I saw somebody posted about, hey, what about Black Fridays? I hated the holidays at Kmart. I hated after Christmas when everybody would come in and return stuff. And I hated like maybe the week or two leading up to Christmas.
Yeah, any time after between Thanksgiving and Christmas Day was just, it was, especially the weekends, was just insane at Kmart back in the 80s.
Yeah. And that week after Christmas when everybody's returning things.
Yeah. Yep. Justin, how about you? Favorite Kmart memory?
Well, I think I had mentioned this to you a while ago, but like basically when I went in there during the day, it was just the atmosphere in the back, like you said, was more of like a family than I'd ever find in any other job. I mean, you had people bringing food in from home every day to share with other people. And there were these little booths in the break room. It almost looked like a fast food restaurant, but it was just the break room. And
they were
always
probably
had
left over from the cafeteria, Justin.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah. And but they would always have Matlock playing when I was working. So I don't know what it was, but every day it was like 2-hour block of Matlock, and that was the atmosphere in the back. So it was just really more welcoming than any other job I had. Everybody, especially with the holiday dinners and things like that, when you had celebrations, I mean, it was all out, and there was plenty of barbecues and things like that. So I just think the general atmosphere was my best memory.
I love that you mentioned the holiday parties and the barbecues, because they would have a barbecue every year. They would have a holiday party. We called it a Christmas party back then, but holiday party. And there was a family shopping night around the holidays too that they would have, and the huge discounts for family members. You always got a 10% discount, at least we did back in our days, but you get like another 15% off, plus items would be on sale. And it was just a great time to bring your sometimes people stretch the definition of family in terms of who they invited that night, but it was always fun. I got to say, my favorite Kmart memory is Halloween. They used to let the employees dress up in costume. And I think I'm not sure. I'd been there for a while for sure. But one Halloween, I saw a girl dressed in like a cave girl costume. And I was instantly smitten with this girl. And I tried to ask her out, and she said no many times. I employed everyone I knew around me to go and like the work there too, to try to talk me up to her, to try to convince her that she should go out with me. And ultimately she acquiesced and went out with me. And a few years later, she married me. She's been married to me for 32 years. So my favorite memory is meeting my wife.
Wow.
Yeah. So It's another reason I have a lot of fond memories about Kmart is that it changed my life in probably the most positive way. That was life changing for me. So I have a couple more things I want to talk about, but I want to go to our group now, and I have a question for you all, and that question is. Let me see if I can get everything up again. Like I said, I'm really struggling with just a laggy computer tonight, and that's heartbreaking for me that it's not really responding the way that I want it to. But I do have a question that I'd love to read some comments on, which is, what is your favorite Kmart memory? So now's your time. I'm going to be scanning the chat, and those of you that share Kmart memories, I would love to see those. And so first off, Tracy Roth-Myers, a channel member, Tracy Roth-Myers says, wow, Dave, talk about a blue light special. The most special, Tracy, for sure. Let's see. Sparky has a super chat here. Boy, that's nice of you, Sparky. Sparky says, a former Kmart sporting goods manager told me that he loved running blue light specials, made him feel like a hero. Yeah, you really did. You felt like, particularly if it was a great deal, you just felt like you were doing something nice for people. And those early blue light specials truly were something that people could get really excited about. People would end up buying something they didn't even need because it was just so darn cheap. So thank you so much for that super chat, Sparky. I really, really appreciate it. I'd try to play a video, but I'm not doing very well with them tonight. So I'm just going to tell you from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for that super chat. It really means a lot to me. Let's see if I can get some other memories here. Let's see. David Bryden, welcome to live stream tonight. David says Kmart had the best deals on fishing tackle. They had some tremendous deals. It isn't their prices that drove them out of business. It's other things, I truly believe. But let's see what else we got. Raja 1938 remembers a special evening when there must have been a dozen blue light specials and shoppers went absolutely crazy. Danny Staten says, my favorite memory would be going with my mom to get the Christmas layaway out. That's another thing that people just don't, I don't know if they really remember the layaway program. Our layaway department was huge. And there was, people would they basically get you to hold something and then you'd pay on it like 10 equal installments and you get it out with that last installment. Did they still have that, Justin, at the end?
Yeah, that's interesting. We had so many people put stuff on layaway, but we also had probably a good third of them that after the holiday, there was just like a logistical nightmare. There were people that didn't pick it up, and there was just stuff in the layaway room that we had to call every single day. Are you going to get it? Are you not?
Yeah.
It was popular.
It was a nightmare. You're right. There were things about it that it's a great idea, but here's a nightmare I remember. I would get called every once in a while by the girl who worked in layaway, and she would say, can you come help me find this? And there were so many items, and it was upstairs. You'd go upstairs into kind of an attic area where everything was being stored, and they couldn't find items that had been laid away. And people were like done paying on it and waiting for you to bring down their item. And sometimes it would take, well, sometimes we didn't find the items, but sometimes it would take a half an hour or longer to find that darn item. Let's see. Dolph Quick says, you found your wife at Kmart. Maybe if I keep going to Walmart, my luck will change. Well, you got to work there. That's the key, is working there might change your luck there, Dolph. Gloop Trekker says, best memory was buying Atari Adventure with about $31 bills that I'd saved up. Oh, wow. I bought my first computer there. I bought Commodore VIC-20 at Kmart. I was working there, I believe.
What about your TI? That was your first computer.
Nope. TI replaced the Commodore VIC-20. And the TI didn't cost as much. They were blowing those things out. Again, I bought it at Kmart, and it was a blowout. I think I got it for $49. But the Commodore VIC-20 cost me like $119 or something at the time. Expensive. Karen Lee Maloney says, my favorite memory at Kmart, time with my grandma. I love that. I love that. Family time, right? Karen Brown says, planning to become a member. Can't remember my password at the moment. Well, thank you, Karen. Karen, I appreciate that. Boy, I experienced that can't remember password moment many times over the course of each week. Let's see. Eddie Lampert killed Kmart and Sears. That's not a name I recognize. Do you recognize Eddie Lampert, Justin? Is he a later executive there?
Yeah, he was the later CEO, I believe, in the 2000s. I read a book on it actually, and they talked all about him. I mean, who's to say who was doing underhanded things at that time? I don't know.
Yeah. Joe Antonini was the guy that was there when Steve and I were there, and he's going to be in a commercial I show in just a minute. But I want to read some more comments. He says, Rachel in the 208, she says, I had a woman and her baby who would always come in my checkout. She said she always looked for me. She told my bosses, and I got Employee of the Month. That was a thing, man. I loved getting the Employee of the Month thing. I didn't happen very often with me. Apparently, I didn't walk fast enough. But every now and again, I get that kind of recognition. And I enjoyed. There were a handful of customers. Maybe you guys remember this too. A handful of regulars they'd want to come and just visit, and that was nice. Steve, you remember anything like that?
Yeah, I remember there was a lady that would. You probably remember her. She used to walk around Woods Cross like nonstop.
Oh yeah, I
She was
remember
always
her.
walking around.
Yeah,
and she would come in every Sunday and do all the shopping. Try to get the first choice on the ad shoes. Make sure they were there. But she didn't believe in shopping on Sunday, so she didn't want to actually go through a checkout. So she would go in, do all the shopping, then ask me to hold the stuff till Monday, so she could come back and pay for it.
And
that way she's not breaking the Sabbath.
Right, and you did it, right?
Yeah, of course.
Of course. It's awesome. That's awesome.
We had the same people every day, some of them. I saw the same people almost every day.
I saw people, you and I, Steve was a part-timer, so he probably didn't experience this as much, but you and I, who did work full-time for quite a while, I know I saw people 2 to 3 times a week for sure that would come in and recognize me and say hi to me. And some of them were elderly and just they appreciated having that, that kind of connection. And others were just love shopping. Butch Shump shares a favorite Kmart memory that is one of mine as well. He says, my favorite Kmart memory is buying those Power records, comics, and record sets. Some of them were 49 cents, Butch, but some of them, especially the ones that were like with the comic book included or the larger 33 RPM LPs, they were a little bit more than that. But the the smaller ones, the 45 RPMs were 49 cents. You're right. And Butch says also fascinated with the evolution of Kmart radio over the years. Yeah, they had their own Kmart radio station and
man,
had some pretty decent music on it. I didn't mind it. You're shaking your head, Justin. What's your thoughts?
Well, no, I like the yacht rock type radio that they played, I guess. But the Christmas season, they whittled it down to about 50 songs that would repeat every 2 to 3 hours. I think I heard the Paul McCartney Christmas song about 8 times one day. I was like, okay.
I got a story about the radio, Dave. There was one of the assistant managers that was working the nights, and I was talking to him about music, and I was telling him, we were talking about who we were listening to, and I told him I was listening to Jim Steinman's Bad for Good album. And he goes, oh, you've got that? He hadn't heard it forever. And he goes, go get that, and I'll put it in the radio. So I went out to the car and got my cassette of Bad for Good, and he plugged that into that Kmart radio that night and played it from front to back. I'm sure the shoppers loved listening to Bad for Good.
Especially that spoken word piece, Love and Death and an American Guitar.
Yeah.
That would have been quite I imagine some folks, if they could actually have heard the lyrics, they would have been a little aghast at that. Justin, I don't know if you're familiar with Jim Steinman. He's the collaborator with Meatloaf and he composed all the music for Bat Out of Hell.
Right. And the second one too, right?
Correct.
Bat Out of Hell 2.
Dead Ringer. He did, well, Dead Ringer was the follow-up, but then he did Bat Out of Hell 2 later on. And Bad for Good was actually supposed to be Meatloaf's second album, but Meatloaf lost his voice, so Jim went and sang the album instead. And a lot of the songs from Bad for Good ended up in or on Bat Out of Hell 2, if I remember correct. Great album. Great memory, Steve. I would have loved hearing that in the store while I was
It was
working.
awesome. It was awesome.
Jason Goldtrap, channel member Jason Goldtrap, says, in 1982, I was 14. Designer jeans were all the rage. At Christmas that year, my mom got me some jeans. I was so happy. Kmart brand. I had to wear them to school. I had Sears Toughskins, my friend. Not much better.
What were the shoes were Die Hard, or I know they had Die Hard boots.
I don't remember. I worked in the shoe department. I don't remember the name of their brand. It was like just a no-name brand.
Tracks.
Oh, Tracks. That's right.
Oh,
Tracks.
I saw.
Running shoes were Tracks there.
They also had a brand called McGregor that I thought was a national sports brand like Nike, but I think McGregor was a Kmart brand.
It might have been one that they bought. That it might have been a brand at one time and they bought. Let's see what else we got here. Maud Matilda H says they had some nice clothes and the layaway was great for Christmas, without a doubt. Hey, Music Girl 67, channel member Music Girl 67, great to have you with us. Oh, the life and sad ending. Steve Tevis says shopping for Christmas, looking at the knockoff Hickory Farm meat and cheese gift bags for sure. Hey, that reminds me, Steve emailed me earlier today and he has, well, it's not really his Kmart memory, but I do want to share it. Hang on a sec. Let me go over to this section. And even though we have a laggy PC, we're going to pull this up. This, now I said that. Let me try it again. This, come on. You can do it. Come on, computer. There we go. And let me take that off the screen there so you guys can all see this. This is a name badge, a Kmart name badge. Probably looks familiar to you, Justin, this one here, given it's big K, so that was later on in the Kmart thing, right?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, our store had the Kmart logo, but they took off the word big, but you could still see the label scar on the building.
Got it.
That said, so I don't know why they would remove it, but yeah, I remember that.
It was based on the size of the store and what they included. Like the big Kmarts, I think, had groceries in them, if I remember right. But Steve sent me this. He said, "Hi, Dave. I see you're doing a live stream about Kmart. Here's a photo of my mother's Kmart name tag you can use as an illustration if you'd like. She passed away in 2017. Sorry about that, Steve. It's tough losing moms. Trust us. But worked at Kmart for many years. Believe it or not," he says, "Donald Trump walked in the front door one day in 1992 and asked his mom where he could buy a soda." And he sent me, I don't have the picture of this other picture, but he sent me a picture of that visit to that Kmart. You know, we don't talk politics here or anything like that. It's, you know, whether you like Trump or dislike Trump, I still like you. But it is still a fun story, and I really appreciate Steve taking the time to share it. So, guys, we are at the 55-minute mark. I've got another commercial I want to play, one with Joe Antonini in it. And then let's talk. No, I'm going to play two commercials. They're both, I think, 30 seconds. And then let's talk about the end. And, Justin, you're probably going to be the most knowledgeable here. But I know they tried different things. And one of the commercials I'm going to play kind of demonstrates how they tried to remain relevant. And, well, both of them do. So let's listen to or watch the commercials, and then we'll come back.
I've planned thousands of dinners and affairs for everyone from next-door neighbors to royalty. But
it's a night.
I've planned thousands of dinners and affairs for everyone from next-door neighbors to royalty. But now I'm planning to
start it again so that we can watch the whole thing.
I've planned thousands of dinners and affairs for everyone from next-door neighbors to royalty. But now I'm planning my biggest ever, a party for 77 million people. I'm Martha Stewart, and I'm Kmart's new consultant for entertaining and lifestyle. I'll be helping millions of Kmart customers with tips on just about everything for the home and entertaining. So come to Kmart. 77 million people. I hope I made enough food.
That commercial. They started it. I remember Jacqueline Smith was a spokesperson for Kmart, Martha Stewart. They started involving all these spokespeople. And they tried to do so many other things. Let me see if I can pull up this one final commercial, and then we'll talk more about the final years of Kmart.
When you see our new Kmart sign outside, you'll know there's been a big change inside.
I like that new logo.
The new Kmarts have wider aisles, new lighting, and new displays of the best brand names, faster checkouts, and a new attitude toward service.
I think that's great. Yeah. How are you?
We understand you want to feel good about where you
What
shop.
about cosmetics? And I promise you, you're going to love your new Kmart. Looks marvelous. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
So even in 1990, I think I stayed at Kmart through 93, maybe, roughly. I think, yeah, I started my other career in 93, but I continued to work overnights at Kmart over on the weekends, just in case that career didn't work out, for about 6 months to a year. So 93-ish was when I left, but there was this sense. I remember them talking about Walmart and competing with Walmart and what they were going to be able to do. And the idea was at one point was take the good things from Walmart, like the wider aisles and they tried to revamp their distribution network, but also incorporate things like having Martha Stewart and the Jacqueline Smiths and all these other spokespeople. And for a while there, it seemed to work, but in the end, we know it didn't. Justin, you're probably best to share like your memories of the final years of Kmart. What do you remember from that?
Well, I know the last year that Kmart outnumbered Walmart, I remember reading it was like 93. There were actually more Kmarts still in 1993. And then after that, it went the other way. But in the final years, we actually had Gordon Ramsay. I remember he was one of the early Gordon Ramsay was one of the spokespeople. I only knew that because I took a couple pictures of him home when the store closed. They were cardboard cutouts. But yeah, they were really trying to go with the internet and the delivery, the pickup my gopher thing. And I just don't think they had the personnel to meet the needs or the way to implement it, I guess.
Yeah.
And as far as the leadership, the stores were just in disrepair, falling apart. Everybody remembers the huge HVAC in Kmart, the silver units, every 20 feet or so.
Yeah.
They just didn't update anything. And I think that's ultimately what killed them.
I don't disagree. Steve, did you go into Kmart's during the final years? I remember I did go in on occasion to Kmart, and I'd see old people that I used to work with, and it was fun to visit with them. But I remember thinking the same thing, is that they weren't keeping up with Walmart in terms of it just felt old, and even when it was remodeled, it still felt old, and it just wasn't the same. And comparing to like a Target or something, they did not keep pace. What are your memories, Steve?
Yeah, well, I thought one of those commercials you were going to show would be from the later years. I don't know if you remember the
shipped my pants.
Shipped my pants. I shipped the bed.
Yeah.
I thought that's what you're going to show, as they were trying to get into like more internet sales.
Yeah.
But I think Jim, my wife and I went into a few Kmarts as they were closing down because they were just liquidating everything. So I went in and picked up a few bargains of things they were just getting rid of for a fraction, pennies on the dollar, fans, box fans, etc., things like that you just need. But it was sad because growing up when I was a little kid in the 70s, Kmart was a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And by the end, they were disarray, as you said, Justin. You'd go in and it felt grimy inside.
Yeah.
Dirty and old.
Smelled a little too. Did you guys there was a distinctive smell that became even more pungent as the years went on.
I don't know what that was. It was they all used the same sewer system, or I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. Boy, do I have a lot of fondness for Kmart though, and it's. I'm sad. I'm sad that they're not around. That they're not still a major player in retail.
Here's how big they were, Dave. If you remember the movie Meatballs with Bill Murray, that movie starts out as these kids are getting ready to head up to a camp. All the buses from these different camps pull into a Kmart parking lot. And you see the popular kids from this one camp come out as this nerdy kid from the camp that Bill Murray's going to be at is coming out. He's got an icy, and they dump the icy on his head.
Yeah.
Clearly a Kmart, but Kmart was highlighted as the first part of that.
Yep. I think Career Opportunities was filmed in a Kmart.
Target.
Are you sure?
Yep. That's a Target.
All right. I won't argue with you here, but I'm going to go do some research.
You go check that one out.
I was paying too much attention to Jennifer Connelly. I don't know what store.
That's right. That's a fun movie that doesn't. I don't think it gets the respect and love that it deserves. But that
didn't do that well. But it's a fun movie.
It really is. It really is. And the actors, both Jennifer Connelly and I think his name's Frank Wally. Is they're really great together. And of course, you got a cameo from John Candy. And it's written by John Hughes. How can you go wrong? Great movie. Watch it, folks. All right, I'm going to go into the comment section. Justin, I know you may have to drop.
Yeah,
feel free to at any point.
Okay.
If you need to. But I want to go into comments, make sure that I get all the super chats. Did I get them all? I did. Good. Awesome. And let me go into Annie. I think, you know what? There's just so much here. There's no way for me to even pull anything out. Let me just say this. I am going to have a blast reading the comments after the fact. There's hundreds here. And it's really hard for me to pull anything out from them right now. So super chats are easy because StreamYard, thank heavens, pulls them and sets them aside for me now. So that's not something they used to do, which is good technology. Justin, you were going to say something.
I forgot. I was going to mention something when you were talking about the food earlier. When I first started working at the Kmart I was at, someone told me to look in the back where they would store the TVs for layaway and holiday sales. And they brought me back there and they actually had the plastic sign stuck to the wall from when that used to be the bakery in the 1970s. And it would tell you how to bake bread and cookies. And they still had the oven hookups for the gas just sitting there. It's crazy. And they were using it as a storeroom, but it was amazing to see.
How cool is that? How cool is that? Like stepping back in history just a little bit there. Yeah. That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, folks, thank you so much for joining us. We've had a really active group tonight. At one point, we had close to 90 people here with us. Right now, we have 85 people in the chat. So awesome to have you all here tonight. Like I said, I'm going to go back and rewatch the live stream, not so that I can hear myself chat, although listening to Justin and Steve will be awesome. But rather, I'm going to focus in on what you guys are saying in the chat. That's always, for me, the highlight. So thanks for being so fun and engaging. Thanks to everybody for their participation tonight. I'm nutty. I'm going to try to play one more video, just because it's the absolute right thing to do. And hopefully I'll have a little bit of success. Oh, but before I do that, Justin, what are you currently working on? I tried to find your YouTube channel, but I'm not finding anything there. Are you still kind of trying to figure out what exactly to do with that, or what's going on there?
I'm trying to do recovery. I had 11 videos on there, and then when I got locked out, I have them on my computer, but
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get them up there, and that's tough. I just don't have the technical prowess right now to get them up there to transfer them, because they were all done live.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get them to where I can upload them. It's just tough for some reason.
Ping me offline later, and let's talk a little bit. Maybe I can help you from a technical standpoint. Okay.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Steve, talk to me. Yeah, I know you've been a little bit on hiatus. You've been extremely busy with life, but I understand there is a
here's
new
the deal.
video.
Yeah, life sometimes gets in the way, and my girls, I have twin girls. They're 12, and I just end up spending a lot of time with them. So I'm sure there's different parts of my life where I'll be able to spend more time doing videos. But I do have a video in the works. And by the way, I want to say thanks to every one of my subscribers. A lot of them are crossovers. I've got just crossed over 6,000 subscribers.
Woo! Nice.
Yeah, and but I'm working on a video about Liz and Jean Segal, the sisters of Katie Segal. But they were in a TV show in the 80s called Double Trouble, for those who remember it.
Yeah, that
Cute
one you were telling
gals,
me,
very talented.
right? You were telling me about that the other night, and I told you that has been an often requested video. So there are going to be a lot of people that are pleased to see that one when it drops. So I think
my channel name is just my name, Stephen Sundstrom. So
awesome.
If you're not subscribed, I would appreciate the subscription. But thanks for the time on the live cast tonight, Dave.
It's been great to have you with us. All right. So, and Justin, thank you, good sir, as well. Let me bring on Fred Rogers. I'm going to try at least, and then we'll say so long to everyone else. Hang on.
You are special.
Truly are special. Not just Justin, Stephen, but every single one of you out there in this YouTube channel community. Boy, you're appreciated. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. And, I look forward to visiting with you all again in future live streams. Have a good night, folks. Take care.